Speaking of which, let's give the updates on what's happening
Hmm.
with the bill in the Senate right now. Because as you know, the bill was passed in the House by a
Which
vote
is
of
sick.
215 to 214.
Hmm.
So could have had some more Democrats voting against it if maybe people weren't dying in office. It's a different story, apparently.
Maybe we need to do that for Friday too. Maybe somebody else will be gone by then. We can add them to the list. Dropping like flies over here, Desmond.
And
Good
so
Lord.
there was an this was coming out from USA Today. They kind of gave an update on like what the mood in the Senate is right now as far as how the
Hmm.
Republicans are looking at this. Because as you for those who don't know, the bill is going through a reconciliation process, which means they don't actually need the 60 vote threshold. They're going to be able to get it through with just a 51 vote majority, which technically means they only need 49. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, they only need 50. No, 49 of their senators to vote for it because they will have the vice president be the tiebreaker in the Senate. So
That's right.
they so the Republican, I guess the rest of us have to hope that 4 Republican senators decide not to vote for this thing. That's the only way it's not going to pass. So apparently, Senators Josh Hawley from Missouri, Susan Collins from Maine, Lisa Murkowski, Rick Scott, Rand Paul, Mike Lee, they have all come out for different reasons so
Hmm.
that they are
Hmm.
opposed to the current construction of this bill um, for some pretty awful reasons, as far as I'm concerned. But nevertheless, it is causing the bill to be hung up in the Senate, and it sounds like they're actually going to rewrite this thing. And
Hmm.
this is where things get a little in the details here. Trump
Hmm.
apparently said that he was okay with this. He actually encouraged over the weekend senators to rewrite the bill, even though the Speaker of the House asked them not to rewrite the bill. So there's already some dysfunction there between Trump and Speaker Johnson in the House. Um, so it seems that Rand Paul, Rick Scott, and Mike Lee, senators from Kentucky, Florida, and Utah, they all said that they won't vote for this thing because it doesn't cut enough of
Whew.
Medicare, Medicaid, and SNAP benefits. They said that the bill is fiscally not responsible because it's going to balloon the deficit and that they just refuse to sign on to anything that's actually going to involve more spending. So that's their objection. They actually don't think it goes far enough. Meanwhile,
There's a special place in hell for these people, my friend. My God.
Meanwhile, the senators out of Kansas and Maine and Alaska said that the bill cuts too much. And so that's why they're not on board with it. But I think that these are senators who are afraid that with the demographics of their state, that they
Yep.
won't be able to survive another election if they have to go back and tell people, like, yeah, I voted for this bill that takes away all your health care.
Mm.
You actually have some senators, like Tom Tillis in North Carolina, who is
Hmm.
afraid of the green energy tax breaks that are being cut from this, saying that he doesn't want them to be
Wow.
cut because they're going to hurt businesses in his state. But meanwhile, other senators are saying that they need to take them out because I'm going to assume that other businesses lobby them. So there's a whole lot of dysfunction going on here
Yeah.
right now. And on top of all that, there are Republicans in the House saying that if you send us a bill that has even more spending cuts than what this bill currently has, if you send a new bill back to us that has more spending cuts, we're not going to vote for it because we're going to get demolished in the midterms next year and we're going to all lose our
Good.
seats. Right. So
Hmm.
that is
Hmm.
the kind of back and forth that's happening to it right now. The Senate wants more cuts. The House is like, this is the best you're going to get. There's kind of a gridlock at the moment. So I'm not trying to like give everyone like too much of like faith here because who knows what's going to happen next. But as of right now, there's an infighting going on, and I'm not really sure how it's all going to play out. So that's just kind of the state of play right now. But
Hmm.
Natalie, what's your reaction to all of the girls fighting?
Yeah. I I honestly, I've been trying to look at this philosophically
Yeah,
because we can talk about, we can debate all the policy points and all the details, but let's just think about this from a philosophical perspective. What is the function of government, and what is it that we want our
yeah,
tax dollars to go towards? This is where I think we aren't doing enough self-reflection and understanding what we as a people want. Because the last time I checked, the government is supposed to be of the people, by the people, and for the people.
which people,
Pe-
Natalie?
People that want health care, okay? People that want a roof over their
Yeah,
heads, people that want a living wage, um, the working person, right? Which is about 95% 5% of this country, 97% of this country, even a
Yeah.
lot of the wealthy are working wealthy, right? If a white collar professional stops working and stops having their income stream happen, they're going to go broke eventually too. So this is all relative, of course, but what we need to start thinking about is if we want to look at this as what is the function of government, we can look at it from perhaps the perspective of, the founding fathers, right? What did they look at if we want to look at it from like sort of that originalist viewpoint? Or do we want to look at it from a more modern perspective in this moment? What is the function of government? But at the end of the day, government is supposed to do things that support a civilization, that support a society from not falling in on itself.
Yeah.
It's not about tax breaks for billionaires. It's about infrastructure. It's about clean air and water. It's about everybody having food. These are just sort of basic tenets of civilization that I think have somehow got lost in the plot because we live and exist and are forced to slave under end stage capitalism. And I think this was ripe for this kind of bill to sort of come forward because so many of us have forgotten the purpose of what all of this is for. And we're going to talk more, I think, in the months to come about this because of this bill. But what do we want our tax dollars going towards? Endless war? And so Elon Musk can build another spaceship that's going to blow up over our ocean and pollute it? Or do we want it so that everyone can get healthcare and we get rid of this thing called medical debt and no child or human, anyone in this country goes hungry? Like, to me, this isn't just a battle over a bill. This is really a battle over the spirit of this nation. What do we want it to be? And I want to revisit this line of thinking as we go along, because I think there's a lot to unpack here as we discuss this.
Yeah, speaking of medical debt, I want to just give a quick shout out to a great organization called Undo Medical Debt. They've been doing amazing work around the country, buying up people's medical debt for pennies on the dollar, forgiving it completely, working with state governments to do the same. Obviously, a number of states partner with this organization now to get that done. So I think these are all great things. I would encourage more people to check them out, donate to them if you can. I think until we have universal health care, organizations like this, unfortunately, not only do they need to exist, they need to be amplified. Natalie, we are going to be talking about this bill time and time again as this kind of like drags on. But, one of the things that I kind of wanted to kind of cap on here as far as like my last feelings on this for right now, because, again, there's so many things we're going to say. And for those who missed our first conversation about this, we had a conversation in our last video. So you can check that out if you subscribe to our newsletters, which you can do so by clicking on the top of the screen right now. You can subscribe to both of our newsletters. If you're watching the playback, you can subscribe to the channel and you can see all the previous videos that we have done, including some of the funny jokes we put up on the video on Natalie's behalf about her light going out.
I'm starting to lose the light
Natalie
right now,
Light
guys.
Donate to the Natalie Light Fund so she can not be doing Natalie in the dark for these live streams.
You'll just hear my voice.
Right.
It's going to be really hot.
But, in all seriousness, though, a lot of people are going to be absolutely crushed if this legislation comes to pass. There are so many people who rely on SNAP benefits to make sure that they have food on the table. There's so many people who rely on Medicare and Medicaid this is healthcare we're talking about. We're talking about going to the doctor when you are feeling sick, going to the doctor when you are worried that something might be happening to you. And now people are avoiding going to the doctor when they might need to go. This is how, things like cancer ends up getting missed when you're not going and getting checked up when you're not feeling well. These are how people just... Going to get a little personal here, Natalie. I apologize. I had a friend a few years ago who was feeling sick for quite some time and didn't think that she could afford to go to the doctor. She ended up going eventually, came to find out that she had pneumonia, and she passed away. And she didn't go because she didn't think that she could afford the doctor bills because she did not have insurance. These are the types of things that happen to people when their health care is taken from them or they do not think they could afford health care. So when we
That's
talk
right.
about wanting to have health care for everyone, it's not just some bull, like argument that you
No,
Republicans talk about, like, oh, let's just give everyone free stuff. No, we don't really have a society that's functioning if
that's right.
people are afraid to go to a doctor when they know that there's something wrong because they're afraid of how much it's going to cost. That's not the
Yeah.
society that we want to live in. And there are so many countries on this planet that have already figured that out and they've
Yeah.
already instituted universal health care for their people. We have more money and more resources than all these other countries that have already done it. And we choose
Yeah.
not to because there are people in this country who make so much money off of the system being the way that it is right now and keeping people in a constant state of debt and
Yeah.
fear
Yeah.
of, like, hey, if I change my job, I might lose my medical insurance. There's so many different problems with this system, right? I mean,
Yeah.
medical bankruptcy is still the number one form of bankruptcy in America right
That's
now.
right.
So I am so strongly opposed to anybody who wants
Mm-hmm.
to reduce healthcare access in this
Mm.
country.
Mm.
And so I promise that we will continue to talk about this as time goes on, because as far as I'm concerned, there are very few issues that we face right now that are more important than people's access to healthcare. And so whoever's threatening it for any reason, they have my full attention.
Thank you for sharing that story. That's not an easy thing to do, to bring it back down to the human level and just say, hey, this isn't about statistics or numbers. This is about people that we know, people that are our neighbors, people that we love. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. I know that must have been hard. Um, this has been an issue that I have been involved with since I was 17 years old.
Yeah.
I don't think that we can have any other conversation around basic human rights if we don't center access to quality healthcare free of charge. And by that, I mean, we as a society decide we're going to prioritize this and fund this and take care of people, because we know, you guys, that so many other things spiral out of not having a robust, meaningful, quality healthcare system. And we're seeing them play out all the time. So this is, I would say, one of the most core issues to improving our quality of life, but also our livelihoods. If
Yeah.
you can't go to the doctor, if you can't get paid time off to go to a job, like, so many other issues feed into this, right? If you don't have stable housing, you can't, like, everything just kind of all comes back to public health. And that's going to be something we're going to touch on towards the end of the show. But we have
Yeah.
one